In this video, I'm going to show you how to remove and replace a hood hinge on a Chevy Malibu, located the back side of the hood where it meets the windshield. We have to lift this cowl up somewhat so we can access the mounting bolts. So with a little trim tool, I'm going to pull these plastic bushings out of the way. They're little body clips. And just squeeze. Or a flathead screwdriver, something to push that pin up. There we go. Like that. And you just grab the bottom part and set it aside. Now I don't want to take this whole cowl out just to get to two bolts that I can actually see from here. So what I'm going to do is lift this cowl up as far as I can put it. I'm going to wedge something in here. I've got a rubber mallet. That way I can actually see what I got here, and then I can go from there. So your two lower mounting bolts and nuts are a 13mm socket. So I'm going to put a 13mm on the inside, hold that nut, and a 13 on the head of the bolt. Let's break it free. All right, I broke that free. Moved kind of easily. I'm going to do the other one. Then I'll get a ratchet wrench and go quicker. I don't think there's much room for a socket in here or a power tool. Beautiful. So now let's get a ratchet wrench and we'll go faster. I loosened it up enough that I can actually get my hand in there. If you can't, then you're going to have to use that ratchet the rest of the way. I do believe that the nut is part of the hinge, so it's kind of solid. That's not going to go anywhere. There's one bolt. So before we loosen up that back bolt, we're going to wedge something in here, like something soft like wood or a rubber, maybe a hockey puck, something to stop this hood from sliding down, because it's going to once I loosen this bolt up. It would slide down and hit this fender. So we don't want to chip the paint, cause any damage. So make sure it's supported well. Now that's pretty loose. I could take it out the rest of the way by hand. All right, so that back bolt is all the way out. Get your hand out from there. Now we have no weight on this actual hood. The hinge is free, so it takes the pressure off, and you can loosen up these nuts easily. 13mm socket or wrench. Make sure that wood doesn't slide out or whatever you got bracing it. Now as you loosen up this last nut, the hood's going to want to lift up and pull out, so keep an eye on that. Now let this hinge come right down. You can squeeze it to slide it out. Now take your hood hinge and collapse it as much as you can. Slide it back in. I'm going to mount the top nuts first to hold it in place. And then bring that bracket part down. Now this is where you're going to have to rearrange your hood a little bit to make sure it lines up right. I'm going to put the first bolt in. Might be the easier one to get. The reason you put everything in one piece at a time by hand is because if you snug this up right now and tighten it, the back one might not be lined up and you have to loosen it up anyways. So everything by hand is the best way to go, best policy. Now I'm lucky enough that I'm using the old markings from the hinge. Even if you put a new hinge in, the procedure would be you could see the old markings because it's where the old hinge lined up. Just keep that in mind when you're lining up the hinge and you should be all set. Now let's put that back bolt in. And that's why you don't bolt it, so you can actually move it around, center it, locate it, snug it up. Now with my 13mm ratchet, I'm just going to snug these bases up, base mounting bolts. And I can still see the mounting marks from where they used to sit. Now we're going to move to the top hood nuts. Now just like the bottom, I want to snug these up, 13mm. I'm not tightening them because you see how they're marking. You can see where it used to sit. You want to make sure that's all lined up in the way it was. Now a new one won't have those markings on it, right? But you want to make sure the hood itself has the markings. So you see where it's scuffed right there, right here. I want to go down a little bit. So even with the new one, it doesn't matter where the nuts lie. You want to make sure that's not too covered like that. You want it to be not like that, because then it shows the shiny part. You want to make it snug, line up just like that. You just barely see it. So with my 13mm socket, I'm going to hold it in place, and I'm going to snug out this top one. And then the bottom one should pretty much fall into place where it should be. You might have a back and forth movement, so you want to make sure that looks good too. All right, now that's all snugged up. So the 4 nuts for this hood hinge, well, 2 nuts on the top, 2 bolts on the bottom. The torque spec is 24 foot-pounds. Let's do the top first. That's with that 13mm socket. Now we have to get in there. I'm going to change it over to a stubby 13 instead of a long or a deep. Okay, and then one in the back. That's the last one. Okay, now we can take that wood out because it's not even being used anymore. I'm going to line up the washer hose again. Put that rubber down. Make sure it seats the way it was. Get a little plastic clip. Put that right back in. And then pop it down. Now you can shut your hood and make sure your alignment is good on the body and hood. When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.